Jameis Winston signs with the Giants, what the Giants' plan could possibly be, and more coming up.
Touchdown!
Welcome back to All Blue Giants, and today we have a very interesting topic to go over. A couple of topics here. Obviously, the New York Giants have signed Jameis Winston, and I'm going to dive right into that. And also, I do want to touch on what this possibly means for the Giants' plan of attack for the future, as well as even maybe some draft talk tell. So let's hop right into it, and then we'll get to a couple of signees on the wide receiver side, which we were kind of talking about. The Giants haven't really changed up their wide receiver room, so a couple of depth additions that could possibly fight for a spot we'll get into later on. But first, top of the news here with Jameis Winston, 31 years old, obviously. Signed him to a 2-year, $8 million deal that can get up to about $16 million in incentives. And, you know, Jameis Winston, he's a funny guy. I think he'll bring, I think the best group of people that have won today or won this signing was the Giants social media team, because they're going to get so many clips of Jameis, and he's hilarious. But as many of you know, he's hilarious. His quotes are hilarious. Kind of the way he does things and carry himself are hilarious. But when he throws 30 interceptions in a season, that's not very hilarious, even though he absolutely slings the football. So let's dive kind of into his strengths and weaknesses. His strengths got to be play action. Great off the play action, rolling out, also throwing outside the numbers. Very strong from that 10 to 19 yard range. And, he could throw deep. I think that's, outside the numbers. And that 10 to 19 yard range, like I said, is just something that he strives in, but come with those strengths is a lot of his weaknesses and, his aggressive kind of mentality. He loves to push the ball deep down the field and sling the rock. He's so aggressive, but that aggressiveness can lead to turnovers and interceptions and various inaccuracies. So, with that, I don't think, and obviously I'm not the only person who thinks he's not going to be the starter. A couple people were like, oh, he's going to be the starter. I don't think he's going to be the starter. I think he's going to be a backup or perchance a bridge quarterback. I think he starts a couple games at max, but we don't want to see him for 17 games, I don't think. I don't think he will be I don't think he'll really put us in the great position. It might be fun. I know as a Giants fan watching Jameis sometimes, he looks real fun. I mean, take a look at his stats right here. Last year, he went 2-5 with the Browns. Not great. Had 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and averaged 291 yards per game, which is solid. I don't remember the last time the Giants averaged 291 yards passing. So that was how he did last year. He had a 61% completion percentage. Like I said, 291 yards per game. In 2023, didn't start. 2022... went 1 for 2, 63% completion percentage, 286 yards per game, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And then 2021 with the Saints, he went 5-2, but Sean Payton kind of went into that season with Jameis, kind of trying to really limit his aggressiveness and wanted him to stay as small of an impact on the game as possible. Wanted the defense and Kamara to kind of carry that. So in 2021, he went 5-2, but he had a 59% completion percentage, 167 yards per game, 14 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. That's why I do think that ratio kind of doesn't tell the entire story. And then obviously in 2019, went 7-9. His last start, he didn't start in 2020. 2019, 319 yards per game, which is insane. 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. But he's reckless. He's a reckless quarterback. He'd sling the ball deep. A lot of people were saying Malik Neighbors could possibly go nuclear with him. And I do agree. I do think that Malik Neighbors may benefit a lot. Neighbors may benefit. Slayton may also benefit with Jameis playing. Who doesn't benefit? I don't think Wan'Dale benefits very much. He's kind of a quick game merchant there. And I don't think Hyatt does either. But What's up, Giants fans? Are you looking for more All Blue Giants content? Are you looking for unfiltered takes, rumors, breaking news, and updates? Well, look no further. Follow at All Blue Giants on Instagram and don't miss out on any of your Giants action. All Giants, all blue, every single day. So don't miss out and follow at All Blue Giants. That's kind of Jameis right there. And obviously this news broke on Friday, and it broke 4 hours after we got the news of Aaron Rodgers was visiting with the Steelers on Friday. So what do I think that means? I do think that's a cause and effect. I think that's the Giants, Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll, realizing, oh shoot, Aaron Rodgers is at the Steelers facility. He very well may be going to the Steelers. We are also going to wait out for him. So right now, let's have a somewhat backup plan, I guess, but just to stay on top of it, because Aaron Rodgers is in no rush to make a decision. And once again, going off that, I do think that the Giants will, like I said in the last episode, will get a quarterback before draft day, and this could possibly be our quarterback. And here's a quote by Art Stapleton here. The one thing I kept hearing over the past 2 weeks is that Jameis Winston was a better fit than Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson if you were looking for a veteran bridge QB to work well with a rookie quarterback, end quote. That's why a lot of people have been perceiving this Jameis Winston signing very differently. Now, obviously, I was a little surprised off of this. I remember coming into this offseason, I'm like, okay, we're going to sign a veteran and we're going to draft a quarterback. 100% that's what's going to happen. As the weeks kind of progressed and that Matthew Stafford, rumors started getting really big, and obviously it came out that they were talking with him during the season, that kind of makes you think a little like, okay, why would they be trying to sell out for Stafford, a veteran quarterback? We could still pair him with a receiver. Now, we see that we're fully in on Rodgers, and we really want Aaron Rodgers. Once again, another veteran QB going out, but hey, we could still draft a rookie quarterback in the first round. Then we have this Jameis Winston signing, which obviously Russell Wilson is still interested. Then we have this Jameis Winston signing. And Winston, this isn't a bona fide starter. And I think that's completely fine. I think that's the Giants, definitely we're not going to be trying to mask his interceptions, or Daboll isn't. I think, this could be great. Let him sling the rock, be a solid backup. But once again, it makes you think, is this the Giants pivoting to saying, okay, now we're all in the draft? Or is this the Giants saying, we have a backup. We only had Tommy DeVito on the roster. We don't value the quarterbacks at the top of the NFL draft. We are going to take either Rodgers or Wilson, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll draft best player available or whoever we think is good, not quarterback related in the first round. I think it's so iffy because, once again, I said the Giants will have a decision by draft day. They have to. They can't wait on Rodgers past that because they need to be able to have a plan on what they were doing. Now, what this plan looks like for me, I don't think initially that this could be a veteran bridge quarterback for a rookie. In my opinion, I do think that this could be the Giants saying, we like this backup. We're going to get him whether we get Rodgers or Wilson. And I think if the Giants sign Russell Wilson, I won't be surprised. It will be Russell Wilson and Jameis and Tommy Cullitz as the quarterback room. I think that might be where the Giants are trying to go. I think that they see, obviously there was reports of them trying to trade up for the number one pick. I think that those kind of rumors are dead. I think the Titans are dead set on him regardless. I think the Giants don't want to trade that much for the number one pick. But that once again makes you wonder. The Giants were going to have to trade a boatload to the Rams and pay Matthew Stafford. And they were willing to do that. Obviously, the Rams just matched and he stayed. But the Giants aren't willing to trade up to the number one overall pick for Cam Ward. Obviously, this could be smoke and mirrors. Maybe draft day comes and they do it. But in my opinion, that seems like Joe Schoen's a little skeptical of this quarterback class. Obviously, we also heard rumors that Shedeur has dropped and, teams think he could possibly be a great quarterback, but they don't, value him as a top 5 pick. I've seen, 6th pick maybe. This could be the Giants as as the season comes around, you kind of dive into that film and you value and you make your draft board like, okay, well, who's going to be where? This could be Joe Schoen pivoting, saying, what could be the best possible scenario for us to win this season? Once again, is this a smart idea? No, absolutely not. You know, I would love to have a rookie quarterback. I'd love to draft a rookie quarterback. I'd love to, kind of rebuild in that sense and kind of, build our quarterback up. But John Mara didn't fire these guys. These guys absolutely positively have to win this year. And with that mandate pretty much on having to win and being very impatient, they're going to go out and try and see who is the best quarterbacks available this season. Now, will a rookie quarterback be the best quarterback we've seen in a couple years? Maybe. But, safety-wise, I think the Giants are looking at this like, okay, Jameis can start. We can win games with Jameis. His interceptions may be a problem, but we will have that offensive production that we have been lacking. Obviously, once again, I don't think this contract is not a starting quarterback contract. This is a backup contract. That's why it kind of makes it weird, because if the Giants signed Russ or Rodgers before, then I'm like, okay, we're going into the draft. We could get that rookie quarterback. But now you have a backup quarterback that you signed before you know who your starter is. I don't think you would really go like this into the draft. You're giving away your cards. You're saying, hey, I'm going to draft a quarterback. The Titans won't trade up with you, I don't know if, how that works in the war room if you're lying to them like, no, we won't draft a quarterback, then you take him. But regardless, that's a huge tell. Teams might try to trade up to the number 2 pick and try to, draft Shedeur if they're that desperate. Maybe this could be all mind games. But like I said, the Giants won't be going into the draft with a backup and a third string. You got to have a starter in there before the draft. And I think going into the draft without a starter in general is not a good plan, regardless if you want to say Jameis could possibly be the starter. I don't think Jameis and a rookie quarterback are really a great recipe for the New York Giants to be successful in 2025. That's why I do think that what the Giants are possibly doing is they're setting themselves up to get Russ. If I was a betting man, I'd say Russ is a Giant. I think it's going to be Russ, Jameis, and Cutlets in the quarterback room. There's no scenario in my head right now. I mean, there is a couple scenarios. Obviously, I'm not Joe Schoen, but I think it's kind of a tell. I kind of disagree with Art Stapleton here. Yeah, Jameis could be a better fit for a rookie quarterback, but I do think that the Giants, we're trying to really improve right now. And you draft Shedeur, which is what it's going to be. It's going to be Shedeur Sanders or potentially Jackson Dart, but I think he might go at the end of the first. I have no idea. But like I said, if you're trying to win right now, I don't know if Jameis might put on a show. Malik Neighbors might have 1,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, but I'm not sure if he's a great long-term answer for all 17 games. Like I said, if you're going to start him half the season, then bench him and put in the rookie quarterback, how great do rookie quarterbacks really succeed? Jaden Daniels is kind of one of those phenomenons where the rookie quarterback goes ballistic and is very solid. But like I said, we don't see that very often, and I don't think Shedeur is going to come in here and light up the year. So that's my personal interpretation of what this means. I think that right now the Giants are leaning towards Russ, because obviously once Aaron is out, they're going to get Russ. But regardless, I think if Aaron Rodgers takes a long time to answer, I think they're just going to have to go and sign Russ, because Russ is very locked in on signing with the Giants. He was last year. Giants didn't, say that he could compete for a starting job, and he ended up not coming here. But I do think that I'm fine with Russ. Obviously, Russ and Jameis are not the same quarterback. I think Russ has a solid deep ball, but he doesn't, kind of make those reckless decisions. I think Russ is, smarter in the quick game in that sense. Jameis is kind of like a huge, I'm going to throw it up there and hope it gets caught. You know what I mean? And that's why I think it'll be Russ. I think that's what the Giants will do. And honestly, I think it's better. You go into the draft, you draft Abdul Carter. You could take, maybe even Travis Hunter. You could take Mason Graham if you want to edge up that D tackle room a little more, which I do think they will have to address, even though we got a couple of these signees in. You definitely are going to have to, I bet $100 on that they're going to draft a D tackle sometime, maybe even not day one. It's 100%. I feel like day 2. So that's kind of our Jameis news. Obviously, like I said, that's kind of why, if you're an organization and you're desperately trying to trade for Matthew Stafford, that shows you don't have that much confidence that this draft class could produce wins for you. That's how I see it. And once again, you're going after Rodgers. Like, the Giants are waiting for Rodgers. It's not like they already made their decision here. They are physically waiting for Rodgers. That shows, right now, if Rodgers is like, I'm coming to the Giants, guess what? Rodgers and Jameis, you're our quarterbacks. That's why to me, there's no tell that we're going for rookie quarterback, and I think that's honestly better off because we could take best player available, and I really hope that's Abdul Carter. But our luck, it'll be Cam Ward, Abdul Carter 2, and then, whoever. But I'll take Mason Graham. I'll take Travis Hunter. I'll take whoever. Just give me best player available, and that really improves our team. And I don't care. Draft a D lineman every single round. Look at the Eagles. When you have that, look at our Super Bowls. That D-line goes crazy. That D-line wins you games, That's, once again, build that defense, see what we do. I really liked our free agent additions here, and getting into those real quick to kind of wrap up the episode. Not a lengthy episode. Felt like I needed to talk about Jameis and that. But that'll be coming up right after this.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No, this is All Blue Giants.
Is this
Hello?
the Krusty Krab?
No, this is All Blue Giants. Do you want to keep up to date with Giants reactions every single day, every minute? Well, then follow at All Blue Giants on X, and you'll see up-to-date reactions, replies, and tweets. So what are you doing? This ain't the Krusty Krab. This is All Blue Giants. So rounding out our episode today, we will talk about a couple of wide receivers the New York Giants have signed. Giants signed Zach Pascal. He came in for a visit a couple weeks ago, so they ended up bringing him in, and Lil Jordan Humphreys. Yes, his name is Lil Jordan Humphreys. Still looking for Big Jordan Humphreys. Anyway, Lil Jordan Humphreys, definitely a depth piece. He's a deep downfield threat. He had 31 catches for 293 yards and a touchdown last year for the Denver Broncos. So, nothing too crazy, nothing really gives you a tell of, oh, this guy's going to start, he's going to make an impact. He's going to be on our depth. He's going to be here for depth, and same as Zach Pascal. They're both depth additions. Pascal could possibly make the team because of special teams. He also is a pretty good run blocker, so we could see him there. Just two little snippets there that will kind of make camp exciting. But obviously, we were kind of talking about how the Giants didn't make any effort to address the wide receiver room. No one in there is new. Obviously, they brought back Slayton. That's kind of all the news surrounding that room. So bringing in two more guys here. Another Colt. The Giants love picking up these former Colt receivers. But yeah, that'll kind of round up our episode. Once again, Jameis. I love his quotes. He's hilarious. And I think the vibes for the Giants will at least be good. That's probably the only thing that will be good there is the vibes. But it would be fun, if he absolutely slings the rock and Malik Neighbors goes for, 250 and 2 touchdowns. That would be very fun. But, Bobby Skinner said it best on the Talking Giants podcast, kind of that, yeah, it would be fun, but it's not going to be fun when you're seeing all these picks being thrown because they are horrible picks. Like, they are horrible. Like, they are just inaccurate picks. But love to have Jameis on the squad. One of the guys who's those post-game interviews will be something. So just happy we got our crab legs down. And make sure to follow us on all of our socials on Twitter or X, on Instagram, on TikTok, and, of course, on YouTube. And follow us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. And I will have another video, hopefully, for you next Sunday. Hopefully, we'll get some better news going this week and see if anything really pops off, see what that Rodgers stuff is doing, as they didn't leave with a contract. But that'll be it for today. Make sure to drop a like. Make sure to comment. Make sure to send it to whoever you're going to send it to. You know who I'm talking about. And we will continue this next week. Hope you all have a great day.